We're going to discuss now the first key aspects of the Qlippoth in terms of Malkuth and starting in the process of darkness. Above Kether in the Tree of Death, there's essentially 3 points of the Qlippoth which represent a void or an abyss, and that's Tohu, or formlessness, and then there's Bohu, or desolation, the void, and then you have Chasik, the darkness. These areas are very significant, and this is where you start in terms of mapping your initiation as the fall. And you essentially, instead of ascending towards the angelic, as you would in the Tree of Life, you descend into the demonic, and you transform yourself and then ascend again. So you're actually getting 2 levels of power in doing this. The first is in Tohu and Bohu and Chesik. This is where you acknowledge who you are inside and what you want to transform and become as. If you have a drinking problem, you would take this time in working in these early spheres to understand why you do that. What happened in your life to make you like that? Or is it a genetic thing and it's just something that you have to work through? So you affirm your goals and what you want to achieve in that period of time. Okay, so in doing that, you move into Malkuth, and Malkuth is the black earth. One important thing I want to state before going on concerning the Qlippoth is that you model your initiation in the form of the adversary. So you're essentially, just as the Gnostic Yaltabroth, you're transforming yourself in many different forms and understanding your being in many different aspects and considerations. So you're going to utilize a lot of balance, and you're going to require a lot of discipline to move through these spheres. One thing you do not want to do is to utilize Christian invocations. That is one of the worst things you can do because it's self-degrading. To utilize Christian prayers and working with the demonic is to acknowledge the Christian associations and paradigm therein. So it's very important as a Luciferian, or even a Satanist, or however you want to mix it up, that you have to utilize the Luciferian calls, or the affirmations of self, as the most important thing in your invocations. Your words of power should be words that you associate subconsciously with points of power. You're essentially announcing your divinity in every ritual you do. In the Bible, the adversary, there are several rituals that are designed and work through utilizing ancient words of power in terms of the adversary in both Lilith and Samael. And you're actually utilizing those powers, those rebellious powers, as a form of yourself. So you're self-affirming your divinity and your goal to divinity, which is ever transforming. So it's very important. Never utilize Christian invocations or any of the pre-Golden Dawn type jargon in your workings, because they're corrupt in foundation. In this modern age, and in times of study and learning, we can acknowledge that those things had their use in the time that they were in, but were flawed in design. So we have to move forward into that. Starting in Earth and Malkuth, we have the 5 accursed nations, and those symbolize basically children of Belial, tribes of the earth that create war. War is essentially, in those things, is a time of change and chaos. So understanding that within yourself is very important. Associated with the hell is Ginahim, or the place of burning, where the dead were tossed in Israel. Here, it's very important to understand that the Infernal Union Sigil, or what the Church of Satan calls the symbol of Baphomet, except it has Samael and Lilith written within it, is probably the most important symbol of a Luciferian in this early stage, because it represents the union of opposites. And this is associated with what Crowley called the Babylon and the Beast. And so the Sigil of Infernal Union has deep meaning in that it's encircled by Leviathan. Leviathan is the timeless serpent or dragon of the ocean. And if you look to symbolism of Leviathan, he has glowing eyes, so he's very illuminated and very intelligent. But he's a timeless spirit, and you actually move through that in your initiation. You have Samael, the masculine, the matter. Okay, this is the form rising from the sea, the beast. And then you have Lilith, which is the fiery serpent which inspires and utilizes sexuality and all those things to become who you are. So when you put all those together, you create Baphomet, the black head of wisdom, or Cain, the first Satanist and witch, depending on how you look at it. Nahemoth is the goddess of Malkuth, and sometimes associated with is Lilith. So Malkuth is the black earth, and this is where you start to understand who you are, and you start utilizing the powers of the demonic feminine and masculine to your advantage.